Okay, it's telling me that we are live. Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Show. I'm Rich Davie and it's Wednesday, October 1st, 2014. On today's show, we'll be discussing the TUF 20 Episode 4 show and previewing the Carla Esparza versus Angela Hill matchup. On today's show, we have yours truly and Fred Kirby. Thanks for joining me on the show today, buddy. I appreciate it. And let's go ahead and start talking about the TUF 20 Episode 4 show. And we'll also talk about that matchup between Carla Esparza and Angela Hill. Okay, go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening, buddy.
Hey, what's happening, Rich? Thanks for having me again, and what's happening, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Okay. All right, let's see. TUF 20 Episode 4 show will be featuring the Carla Esparza versus Angela Hill fight and takes place tonight, Wednesday, October 1st, 2014. And that, of course, will be on the Fox Sports 1 network starting at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And on the TUF 20 Episode 4 show that we did, and we spoke about, well, you weren't there with me, but I spoke about the show earlier today. When I did the recap for the Episode 3 show that we weren't able to hook everybody up with there and sync up all the times where everybody could get together. But I did speak about that a little bit there, kind of teased it for this show here. But on this one here, TUF 20 Episode 4, we did speak about Carla Esparza and Angela Hill a couple of times. Most notably, we were talking about Angela Hill on a few of the other shows there. And we were talking about, you know, how she doesn't really look to be the number 16 seeded fighter. She looks to be pretty tough to me. I mean, I don't know if you saw any of the, any of the preview videos or anything on the TUF show there where she's throwing kicks, but her kicks look pretty vicious, man. And I don't know, man. When you told me about that highlight video there, I checked that out too, and man, oh man, she looks like one tough girl, huh?
Yeah, she actually is a beast, man. I'm at her ranking actually, just because she's only got one professional MMA fight, so it kind of is hard to gauge exactly how she'll do in mixed martial arts. But I seen a highlight reel of hers from her time in Muay Thai, and she went undefeated in Muay Thai, and she is a fucking beast on the feet, man. She has got very, very tactical striking. Her jab is pinpoint and accurate. She's got nasty kicks. She's very active in the clinch. I mean, she is a fucking handful on the feet for sure.
Yeah, I've seen her, in some of the videos that I was looking at there. She's dropping women with, those massive boxing gloves on, so you know that she can hit really hard.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's why I kind of think that she's a really one of the more interesting girls in the house, just because there's such a huge question mark on her. She's obviously got a lot of talent striking, and like you said, when you take those bigger gloves off and you give her these little gloves, she's going to be even more powerful, and those shots are going to matter that much more with those little gloves. I guess the big, massive question mark with her still, though, is how is her takedown defense? How is her grappling? If she does get taken down, can she get up? And that's where, of all the girls and all the matchups they could have put together in the house, I mean, she's facing the one girl with probably the best takedown offense in the house, so.
Yeah, if she does have any sort of, takedown defense, well, I'm sure she must have been training on that, was well aware as soon as she found out that she was going up against Carla Esparza. I'm sure she trained for that, and if she did train for that, she has, like I was saying, any sort of, takedown defense. She is much bigger and much stronger, it looks to me, than Carla Esparza, so she's going to have, the advantage of not only, the height and the strength, but, the leverage because of that.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll all just see. I think that a lot of that shit is kind of just natural talent, being able to take to something well. Some people just learn shit a little easier than others. She's a big girl for the division. If if she took well to her takedown defense and she learned well and she's excelling, this fight could get interesting really fast. I mean, Carla Esparza, like I said, has probably got some of the best takedowns in that house and in that division. Period. There's a reason she's the #1 seed. So, I mean, Hill's
Yeah.
takedown defense will definitely have to, it'll have to be up to snuff for sure. It's going to get tested, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And Carla Esparza, she definitely touts herself as a wrestler primarily as that's her main talent as far as MMA goes. But just for the people who don't know here, going into this fight, we have 26-year-old Carla Esparza with a 9-2 record, and she was ranked #1 in the episode 1 show. And we also have 29-year-old Angela Hill with a 1-0 record as far as MMA goes, and she was ranked #16. And like we're saying here, talking about Angela Hill, don't let those seeding numbers fool you, though, because I honestly don't think that she looks to be the #16 seed, especially what we've seen from the last 2 fights that went on. She looks to be a little bit tougher than those last 2 girls that fought. And I don't know, man. She looks pretty impressive to me, and I'm going to hope that she does well. I really hope that she does have some takedown defense, and that she's just not taken down and held on the ground the whole time. But the reason that she's probably seeded #16 or ranked #16 is like we mentioned earlier there, it's likely due to the fact that she only has 1 professional MMA fight on her record there. And of course, being ranked or seeded #1, Carla Esparza is obviously the favorite here. And she's also the Invicta FC strawweight champion coming into this tournament here. So a large number of people think that Carla will definitely win the tournament and wind up being the first UFC strawweight champ. Again, I mentioned earlier there, we spoke about Angela Hill a couple of times on the show before. And some of the guys, do think that this is going to be a little more exciting than the seedings or the rankings of the fighters make it out to be. I don't know. I think it's going to be a real exciting fight, man. I just can't wait for this one. I want to see what she can do.
Yeah, I do hope that it is exciting. I think it will be too. But there is a chance that Carla Esparza just comes in and blows her out. I mean, like you said, she was the Invicta champion. Her takedowns are crazy. She's got a nasty submission game, and she should be well ahead of Angela Hill in the grappling department. I mean, I hope that it's not necessarily a blowout, but it wouldn't be totally shocking to see her come out, get the takedown, and just work her over on the ground. We really have no gauge or a very small gauge on exactly what Angela Hill's takedown defense and grappling is going to be like. That's what makes this fight so interesting, though. It's really hard to tell exactly how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever saw that Fight Girls show. Did you ever see that reality show, Fight Girls, where it was a bunch of
I
girls
heard
together?
about it, but I never watched.
Yeah, but there were a bunch of girls on that show too. And when I'm thinking about Muay Thai striking, I think also of Michelle Waterson, and I mean Michelle Waterson has completely rounded her fight game out, and she likes to strike, and she likes to submit, but she's dangerous anywhere. So with somebody who has the striking and the Muay Thai that Angela Hill does, if she puts that ground game together, and we'll find out tonight what it looks like. I think she's a force to be reckoned with, man, because she looks like a real tough opponent, man. Her kicks look brutal. She likes to throw tons of punches and rapid-fire combinations, and then as soon as she hurts her opponent, she turns to a Muay Thai, goes into the Muay Thai clinch, grabs the head and starts throwing knees, and man, oh man, that just looks ferocious when you watch that highlight video. If anybody out there wants to check that out, I'll put that link to that video that we posted on the site there, and check that out. She looks pretty tough. It's not a real long video, but if you want to see it before the show starts tonight, the link to that will be in the description beneath the video.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You should definitely go watch that highlight reel for sure. It definitely gives you a better gauge too of what Angela Hill is capable of watching that video and at least seeing what she can do on her feet. Like I said, those are all Muay Thai fights, but she was undefeated in Muay Thai, and her technique and shit looks really clean and really good. And like I said, dropping the glove size is only going to make her power even more stated in that division. Um,
No
it all
doubt.
just comes down to her grappling, man. That's the big question mark. How far has it advanced? And just how is it in general? Maybe she's a really good grappler. I mean, we don't really know. She's only had one fight. So it's not like she's necessarily been exposed yet. Her grappling could very well be, up to snuff. And one thing I will say about Carla Esparza, she does tend to get drug into striking battles sometimes. She's not beyond, standing in the pocket and trading. And that might not be a real great idea. It'll be interesting to see if she tries to come out and play around on the feet a little, or if she just immediately shoots on a double and tries to get this thing on the ground side.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the latter there. I think most likely she'll definitely go to her forte, and if she wants to lock up, the championship here. She's proud of the fact, and I follow her, on Facebook, and I think I follow her on Twitter as well. And she doesn't seem to be shying away from the fact. She was real happy that she was picked number one, and so on and so forth. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Do you know who it was that she lost to? She has 2 losses on her record.
No, I don't, but I'm sure you can find that out relatively quickly. Actually, I'll look it up right quick. Let me ask you something. How long do you think it'll take? Do you think she shoots immediately, like fucking first 15 seconds of the round, or do you think she'll at least strike with her for 20, 30 seconds?
I don't know, man. Like I said, when I looked at the face-off between the two ladies, um, Angela Hill is just so much taller, and with the striking and the leg kicks and everything, I really don't see Carla Esparza trying to fucking stand up and test her out on the feet. I
Okay,
don't.
she's got her 2 losses. One was to Jessica Aguilar in Bellator back in 2011, and the other one was to Megumi Fuji in Bellator in 2010.
Huh.
And the one to Jessica Aguilar was a split decision, and it was a submission by armbar to Megumi Fuji.
Well,
So, but those were both quite a while ago, actually.
yeah,
So,
4 years ago.
yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock into those losses at this point.
Yeah, yeah, but man, like I said, they were looking at those two ladies facing off against each other, and how much bigger and taller and stronger Angela Hill looked. I really don't see Carla Esparza trying to, test out the striking game with her. I think she goes in, for a takedown as soon as possible.
I would say you're right. I would say that would be the smart thing to do. I would hope she doesn't try to test her in the striking department too far. But who knows? Who knows, man? That's what makes this game so good. Carla Esparza could come out and knock her out. I mean, you know, she's only had one fight, so we really have a lot of unanswered questions about Angela Hill. Correct me if I'm wrong. Angela Hill was one of the girls that got picked on the side, right? She was not in Invicta, or was she?
Yeah, no, she wasn't in Invicta, I don't believe. Yeah, she was one of the girls they saw on the side. I don't know how they came across her. It would be
Well,
interesting if some. I was going
that's
to say
the
it would be
thing.
interesting if somebody interviewed her and got that story out there for us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Whoever went and found her and why ever they picked her, the UFC scouts, Joe Silva or Sean Shelby, whatever, whoever those guys are, they definitely seen something in her. So I would say that she's definitely got a lot of potential, and if she puts it together, she could definitely be, you know, 16th seed, man. She could definitely be the dark horse of this competition in a major way.
Yeah, and I don't know if you recall or not, but um, I believe there were, I don't know, 16 women from Invicta that were, signed to the UFC immediately, and then some of those women, went on to the TUF show, and then some of them just started, fighting in the UFC. July, I
Right.
believe, is when the first strawweight bout took place in the UFC. But if you recall, on the first episode of the show, they were actually looking at specifically ground skills. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I do. I do.
So I'm wondering if that's where Angela Hill was picked up, or you know what I mean?
Maybe, but I doubt it. I would say that somebody knew Angela Hill from the Muay Thai scene and the Muay Thai circuit. She's undefeated. Somebody knew that she was a fucking great striker, and obviously she's 1-0 in MMA. Maybe she showed more than, impressive skill on the ground too. So they were like, "Hey, this is a girl we got to have on the show. We already know she's a hell of a striker." And maybe she did something on the ground that was like, okay, shit, we got to have her. So maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I mean, they must have saw something in that because, as I mentioned there, they specifically, in episode 1, were looking primarily at ground skills, and I don't even recall them doing any sort of striking or, stand up or anything like that. I mean, everything they previewed on that first show was all about ground skills.
Well, I'm sure they did striking evaluations too. Maybe that was just the scenes or whatever, how they cut it. But I'm sure those girls had to show their striking, their grappling. That I'm sure they, especially the girls that got picked just on the strength of what they were doing in that room and their records coming into the situation. I'm sure they had to show off a little bit of everything, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But I just found it was interesting the way that they were highlighting that and making that the primary, what seemed to be the primary talent that they were looking for in the women. Um, do you know what Angela Hill's Muay Thai record is?
No, I don't. I just know that it was undefeated. I know she hasn't had a loss yet, so. I think it wasn't nothing too crazy, maybe 12 or 13-0, something like that. But I don't know. I couldn't say for certain.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
It was undefeated, and it wasn't a tiny record. I don't think it was nothing too extensively long, but it was. I think it was something in the early teens, something like that. But I know the important fact is she's undefeated. She hasn't had a loss yet, and she won her first MMA fight by second round TKO, I think, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. She won it by TKO though. The one MMA fight that she has had, she won by TKO. So there you have it.
Yeah, I'm not able to pull up anything. And if anybody is trying to post live comments, Damon isn't on the show today, and he is typically the one that watches the live comments for us because we've been having all kinds of problems with Google and YouTube here, and I can only bring up the streaming window here and one other window, and if I try to go to the comment window there, it knocks me off the show. So I can't watch the comments, so we apologize if anybody is actually trying to make any comments. I don't know. What else do you think about this one here? I didn't really get a chance to do a whole lot here because I did that show this morning by myself, and I didn't really get to see what else they were pushing as part of the teasers for this one. Do you have any comments on that stuff?
I actually didn't see any of that either. I haven't really seen. I think I seen the preview at the end of the last episode last week, but I haven't really seen any previews for any of the shenanigans or what have you that happens in the house this week. I did read something right before we went on air, though, that I think something happens with Pettis and he has to take a week or two off, and Uriah Faber comes in as a guest coach for Pettis' team tonight.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly what happens with Pettis at all, but
California. And you were also right on the last show that you and I did together for I think it was the TUF preview for episode 3. You did that show with me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you were right about those few things that you mentioned on there. It was, in fact, who was the fighter that was on there that had a problem with their father?
Beck Rawlings, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, Beck Rawlings. Yeah, she had she had that problem with her stepfather, where her stepfather passed away. So you were indeed correct about that. I don't know if they teased that in the week before that, but I totally missed it. You were dead on with that. And again, belated condolences to Beck Rawlings and her family.
Yeah. I forget exactly where I heard that at. The thing that fucking it sucks about the last episode, man. I had to DVR it because my kid was up a little late, and somehow or another she fucked up the DVR to the very end, so I missed most of the actual episode. But thank God I actually got the fight recorded, so I got to watch the fight, but I missed most of all the other stuff in between on that episode. So that kind of sucked.
Well, being that you missed the show earlier today with me, what did you think about that fight?
Yeah, oh man. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong, huh? Jessica Penne looked like a beast, and Lisa Ellis looked like, like I had said on that preview before, where Dana White said where she looked like she wanted a way out. I don't know, man. I guess maybe the time off really hurt her a little bit. It looked like it did. She seemed extremely rusty, and she just did not seem like she found her groove whatsoever in that fight. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a and it's difficult to even call that one a fight. And I know we'll probably get some hate for saying that, but it is what it is. And I think the whole problem was mentally. She just did not want to be there. Period. You know.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It looked like either the time off had hurt her physically and she just couldn't find her timing or get on, or I don't know. She definitely looked like something wasn't on with her, really. Her performance definitely wasn't that great. Jessica Penne looked really good, but I got to say, I almost, not to shit on Lisa Ellis, but I almost feel like she kind of gave it to Penne a little bit more than Penne took it. You
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, and that was like two fights in a row now that weren't really the best of fights. Compared to the first fight with Randa Marcos and Tisha Torres. I mean, so far that was the best fight of the three fights that we've seen so far. But man, oh man, they can't afford to keep having fights like that. If they have any more fights that were like those last two, I was saying on the show earlier today that interest is going to fade and viewers aren't really going to want to watch because these are the top 16 women in the strawweight division, and if they're putting on performances like that, do you think that could be that they just weren't going all out because they didn't want to make a mistake, or what do you think, man? Because those, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but to me those last two fights were just dreadful.
They were a bit lackluster. I think styles make fights, man. I say this all the time. I think that styles make fights, and sometimes people don't match up stylistically to have very entertaining fights. Sometimes people have days off or whatever, what have you. But no, man. I think that I agree with you. The last two fights were certainly not as exciting as the first week's fight. The Random Marcos fight has by far been the best fight of the season so far. But I would not let that detour or wean my interest at all. I think the fight tonight should be really good. And even if by some chance it's not, the other fights will be good. And by the time we get to the semifinals, I mean, like they keep saying, these are the 16 best girls in the world. Every once in a while, you're going to get a couple of styles that just don't add up right. Or maybe this first round, you're going to have some girls being a bit nervous, but I think that in the long run, it's going to all pan out, and you're going to get some fucking fantastic fights, especially once we get to the semis. Like I said, the last fight, Lisa Ellis just kind of seemed like she wasn't, on her game whatsoever. I've said before, I think that fighting on the Ultimate Fighter does weird things to people. Some people can handle it well, and other folks just don't take to it well. It fucks with them, and they don't perform to the best of their abilities for whatever reason. Lisa Ellis was just not really never in that fight. And the week before that, the Joanne Calderwood fight, I think that was just a stylistic thing, man. It just sometimes styles don't make up, and then it is what it is. But I would not. I would hope that doesn't start to wean any interest because I'm sure the fights will pick up, and there's gonna be some great fights for sure.
Yeah, it's not going to impact me because every season we go through this where people start knocking the tough shows. I enjoy tough. I've watched every season since the beginning, but I'm one of those hardcore fans who's been watching the UFC since the very beginning. So I mean, and even I hear the hardcore fans say they're tired and burnt out on tough, but I enjoy it, man. I like watching the new fighters come in and checking them out, and I'm really actually kind of bummed that we don't get to see some of these international tough shows that are all over the world because unless you have Fight Pass, you're not going to get to see the new and upcoming talent. And, I think that's probably part of the problem why some of these people are really bad-mouthing some of the cards, because they're not actually getting to see some of these, new upcoming international fighters,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I was actually going to say I'd like to say a big shout out to the Latino Tough this season. I've been watching that simultaneously with the American Tough with the strawweight women, and the Latino American season of Tough has been great this year too, man. A lot of people are shitting on it, kind of saying that the talent level isn't up to snuff, but like you said, I think it's awesome seeing these young fighters get an opportunity. And I love these international versions of Tough, and even this American version of Tough with the women, because the show has a different vibe to it. It feels like people who are getting their first chance at this thing a little bit, And I think that you're eventually going to get some great talent out of some of these areas too. Everybody's shit all over Tough China because of the talent level that came out of there. But it takes time to cultivate these places. It might take 3 to 5 years before you get, an Alexander Gustafsson from China that can, or a Conor McGregor from China or what have you. You know what I mean? Like, it takes time to build this shit up, and these are the necessary actions. And I love watching the building processes of this stuff right now. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Just want to remind the people again here, don't forget the Tough 20 Episode 4 show with Carla Esparza versus Angela Hill. That is happening tonight, Wednesday, October 1st, 2014. We did post that Angela Hill highlights video on our site, so if you want to get a look at her before the show tonight, the link for the video is going to be beneath the video in the comments or the description of the video. So basically, I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all the people taking interest in the Tough 20 preview and recap shows that we've been doing. And as I mentioned on the show earlier today, if you're into fight predictions, we do our fight predictions for most of the UFC events, along with a pick'em contest on our site that we call an event pool. And that's just straight picks on the fighters, where you don't have to pick method and round and all that. You just pick, who the winner is going to be in the matchups. And then we also do post-event shows as well for most of the UFC shows that we do the event pools for as well. Any more comments there, buddy?
Oh, we gonna do some picks or what? You got a pick, or what's your
pick?
Yeah,
okay, yeah, go ahead and make a pick.
Okay, obviously I'm gonna start off by saying this, that clearly Carla Esparza is the clear favorite and should more than likely win this fight. But I am picking Angela Hill. I am gonna believe that she has got the takedown defense. And not only am I gonna pick her, I'm gonna pull a fucking Conor McGregor. And I'm going to call the round and the method. I'm going to say that Angela Hill lands a knee to the jaw as Carla Esparza is shooting in for a takedown at the end of the first round.
Wow.
How you love that?
Yeah, I do like that, man. Because I did want to pick Angela Hill as well. And on the show earlier today, I think I said I'd be rooting for Angela Hill, but I was going to pick Carla Esparza. But then when I went back and watched the video again, and then I looked at the face-off between the two ladies, I also changed my mind. But I'm going to say the same as you. But I'm going to say it's going to be Angela Hill by TKO in round 2. So you and I are going bold, my friend.
Go bold or go home. Like I said, Esparza is the clear-cut favorite for a very good reason. But I think, who knows, man, these situations are really unique and crazy, and crazier shits happen. So I love the underdog pick, too. She's the biggest underdog in the house. How the hell am I not going to pick her now?
Yeah, and I don't even see her, like, I keep saying this about her. I don't see her being, the number 16, ranked or seeded fighter. I just do not see that. When I, saw the videos and I saw the kicks that she was throwing and her dedication, and talking about how, she spends all the time in the gym. Sometimes she just wakes up and goes right into the gym. So, she wants it bad, and when somebody wants it bad and has that much, talent as a striker and a Muay Thai, specialist as she is, you got to think that she worked on the ground game as well,
You know what would be interesting? After this first round of fights, if we can get everybody together and do it, we ought to go back and do another draft. After we get a chance to see all these girls compete once, then it would be interesting to see where they should have been rated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, you know, because right now, like Angela Hill gets the 16th seed, but we'll find out tonight whether she should have been the 16th seed. Rather, once everybody has fought, you'll be able to go back and kind of look at all their performances and say, okay, well, maybe Lisa Ellis shouldn't have been ranked as high, or maybe Angela Hill should have been ranked here. You know?
yeah, I agree, and also I think Jeremiah was on one of the shows with us when we did a tough show, and he was asking, you know, who our favorite is and so on and so forth, and I really kind of wanted to reserve my pick for exactly what you're saying there, you know, because you know some of these ladies I don't know, so I actually wanted a chance to actually see them fight one time so I could get an idea as to you know where they should, in my opinion, you know, be seated or ranked. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. After this first round, we'll have seen every woman fight at least once, and we'll have a lot better of a gauge on where we're going with the rest of the series and the rest of the show.
Yeah, so it looks like Pettis so far is sweeping things, and Angela Hill is on Team Melendez, so maybe she can turn the tide of things here tonight. It'll be interesting. I'm hoping that does happen. And actually, on Score, that new site, I don't know if you checked that out yet for you know sports figures. They have you know little polls they put up there in between each tough show, and I actually picked Angela Hill on that. But that was before I made my pick for this show and before I spoke this morning. And then I went back, like I said, and I looked at the video again, and then I looked at the you know the face off, and I'm like, you know, man, if she's got you know some ground skills and some takedown defense, I I think she wins this one.
I love the storyline, man. I love the storyline. Unheralded prospect, 1-0, taking on the fucking champion, basically. I mean, you know, it's got everything you could want, man. It should be a great episode and an awesome fight. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah, man. All right. Any other comments, buddy?
Nope, that does it for me, sir.
Okay, I hope you and I are both right with our pick on this. That would be awesome, huh?
Yeah, that we would look like you always say, we're either going to look like geniuses or dumbasses because we're definitely going out on a limb with this one.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening. And stop over onto our site there, MMA Chat. You can join us for some discussions on MMA events, MMA news, and take part in our event pools. And if you would like to be on the shows and join us on the shows, you just have to create an account, let us know, and then what we can do is grant you access to the part of the site where we actually do the planning of the shows and try to coordinate everybody to appear at the same time. All right. Thanks again for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, no problem, Big Rich. I will see you next time, brother.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
All right, later.
Bye.